I'm so just at peace. I don't even want to say excited. I'm just so at peace for
Mhm.
this conversation today. I'm sure everyone listening already knows Krista Williams from Almost 30. And you probably, if you've been with me for a while, it's highly likely that you found me because of Krista and Lindsay, because that was truly the first podcast that I ever went on was yours. So this is so full circle. And that was what, 8 years ago? We've been friends ever since. Is that right? It's been
Yeah,
8 years?
8 years. Erica Kimmick connected us, and we went to Plant Food and Wine for, like, a date, and we were there for, like, 4 hours, and then you came on, you gave me a reading, you gave my ex a reading, and I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what was going on. I remember your lemon Instagram,
Mm.
like, picture. To think that we are here today, and you have built what you have built, and I'm who I am, just is so reassuring because I know that we had no idea at the time where we were going or what we were doing or what we were even working towards, but being your friend is like the gift of a lifetime. It's just the textures and layers that you bring is just it's so nice. I know I feel like so warm, like even right now. I'm just so grateful.
Well, you know what I actually, on that note, was going to say to you, because you are someone who, when you're exploring like an area of life, you really get into the granular like layers of what constitutes different
Mhm.
things. So you're not just going to generally talk about purpose. You're going to be like, what are the different components and what do we do about this component and how do we optimize it and how does it get caused this way? To me, you're very much a dissector and you do it with clarity. And I do feel like you've explored friendships very deeply. And I know that, we've spoken about how, you know, friendship breakups can be just as hard as romantic breakups.
Mhm.
But I also feel like, our friendship was so easy. And it's not that we
Mhm.
haven't had to put energy and attention into maintaining it, but what are your thoughts on? I've never actually asked you this before. Like, what are your thoughts on friendships that quote unquote don't require that much
Yeah.
work versus what the things that you think are necessary that have to go into even easy friendships?
I think that's such a good question because it's a little bit similar to romantic relationships where you want to be with someone to like add to each other's lives rather than because you need each other, because you require each other,
Mm,
because you're in codependent relationships, or because it's like you need that person to survive or sustain. And I think the reason our friendship works for so many reasons, like you're on purpose, I'm on purpose, you're here for bigger mission, I'm here for bigger mission. Like we have a life filled with love, we have values that are similar, we like can always come together and just really enjoy our time. And I think for us, like we have the same value of quality time. Like
mm,
when I see you, we are full in, we are fully present. And I think for anyone, it's really understanding yourself and how you like to be in relationship with the world, with God, with other people and friends is really important. And when you were speaking to the beginning, like I just really dissect things. Like I'm someone that struggled so much with my mental health in life. And so when I became more conscious, I wanted to understand all the important areas of my life that were causing me pain, whether that was
mm.
romantic relationships, relationships with my body, relationships with friends, so that I could operate and be better in them. And so my friendships over time, I'm just like a deep feeler, you know this about
Mm.
me. And so when I was in situations that were painful or I felt lost or I felt slighted or confused or competitive energy, whatever it is, I'm like, okay, what's going on here and how can I operate differently so that I can feel better? And now in our relationship, it's such a perfect example. I have such clarity where I'm like, I like quality time. I like my friends to have their own interests, to have their own like desires. Like they need to be lovers. Like we are both such lovers. We are both such deep people. We are both such like expressive people. We're not always happy. We're not always sad, but we're always just like in it with each other. And we always find ways to meet each other. It's like the perfect texture, but it's not easy. Like friendships are a really deep, meaningful part of our experience here on earth. So I encourage anyone who wants to live well and who wants to love themselves more deeply and know themselves more deeply to really inspect and think about the relationships that work in their life and why they work and try and replicate aspects of that so that they can feel more free and better overall.
Oh, that's such a good tip. I love that. Like, what is it about it that's working? Because then you have something else to sort of like tangibly measure against it. Then you know what your
Yes.
sort of like standards are or your templates, the things that you aspire to.
Yes. And we too, like you and I, huge reason that I don't want to forget, and this is why your friendships with other people work and mine, you are doing your own work. Like you have full accountability for your life. Like, so when something comes up for you about in our container or in our connection, and something comes up for me, you're like, hey, this came up for me. Like, I wanted to talk, I wanted to let you know, like, I wanted to talk about this. And it's like
Mm,
you being like, this is my world and this is something about me that's in relationship to you, but it's never my fault. It's never my issue. And vice versa. Like,
mm,
we don't ever blame each other. We don't ever make it about the other person. We fully make it about our own experience and what it's bringing up for that person, and build intimacy by having them lean in and be
mm,
like, oh my God, how can I help you? How can I understand you more deeply? And how can I just be more a part of your process of healing rather than feeling like I've done something wrong or like you don't feel as connected to me? So again, like we haven't had much rupture over the years, maybe like twice or something, but it's like we are so easily able to be honest and truthful and do our own work in it. And I think until people are really able to take accountability and do their own work, they're not going to be able to have deep, intimate relationships that feel sovereign and free.
mm. That's a really good point, and I love that about not making it about the other person, even if sometimes, like, in
Oh,
life,
yeah.
ego wants to say, "Oh, it's that person, this, whatever." It's like you have, I guess it's like about learning to take yourself off the ledge. Like you let that part of you go, and then you say, like, I've come to you about us, but I've also come to you about other things. So I'm like,
Yep.
because I trust your desire to not project onto things or not have your agenda always go, but just to kind of like co-explore things.
Yep.
I'll be like, am I imagining this? Like, am I the one going insane? Like, help me. What do you see? So it's almost like I think there's another thing in there where it's like people whose own viewpoint that you value, or their ability to kind of also want to
Yeah.
go in and have the same intention to like see more clearly instead of like affirm my own stories
Yeah.
back to me, because like that's a lower form of bonding, isn't it? But ultimately that's not really as fulfilling because you don't really then grow with someone. Your friendship doesn't grow, you don't get better together.
Yeah. 100%. Lindsay and I like to call it, do you want to be heard or helped? And I
Mm,
think in some situations in friendships, like if I just want to like complain or I just feel like I'm kind of in it in the mud, and like we've been like this, it's like you just kind of want to say whatever and just process and just kind of let things fly. And then there's times where you want to be like provided with a perspective and a feedback and be like, hey man, can I say something about what I'm also seeing? And this is about being in relationships with people that you admire, that you trust, that you respect, and you
mm,
are not going to magnetize those people until you love, admire, and respect yourself. But you have to be in relationships with people that you trust enough to give you their insight and their feedback. And it's going to be clear and it's going to be present. But what I've noticed the most about having mature friendships and having mature relationships is like, I literally trust you and your soul so deeply and
mm.
intricately that I am like, wherever you are, I'm there. I'm not thinking, oh, she should say this to them. She should do this to them. She should do that.
Ooh,
Like, there's literally no aspect of my brain that would ever think that your soul needs to be doing anything other than what it is right now. I never see, obviously, I see for your future, but like, I don't ever want for anything but what you're doing now. And I never want to
mm,
control your experience. And I think so often I remember having friendships when I was younger where the friends would be like, you should stop talking to him. You should break up with him. You should not move here. You should do this. Like, you should, oh, you should think, just kind of like that controlling sort of like wishing for something other than what you were doing and really
mm.
focusing a lot of their attention on you when it wasn't necessary.
I actually wonder, well, now that you're saying that, I'm thinking about the times when I used to do that. And I
Hmm.
kind of am wondering now if it's when I didn't feel like I was happy in my own or connected to my own purpose, or as kind of like in command of my own process, that it's so much easier sometimes to like jump into other people's lanes. It's like an addictive distraction almost. But actually, you can then just like, we can just go on a walk and like just talk about what's going on in each other's
Yeah.
lives, good, bad, in between, everything. And just not have it be like this extra layer of thinking that's going on behind the scenes where you're also like, they're
Y-
only saying this because of that, and they only
Yep.
think this, and they should just not be speaking to this person, or that kind of noise I think goes away when you actually put the focus back in your life, even if, and we've both been in those places where it doesn't feel like there's anything to focus on in your own life, and that's actually the best time to start, is when you're like, oh, hold on, now I get to create from this blank slate because I have whatever I want to create for myself. I get to ask myself these questions and be in the process. And that's honestly something else you're really good at, is like, you to me are someone, out of all the people I know, I think you really set intentional time aside to like be with your thoughts. And
Mhm.
that seems, I think, scary to a lot of people, or it's just not encouraged enough by society. It's not painted as something that anyone can do. We wonder what to even do in that space. It's obviously not instantly gratifying like a lot of other things. How do you
It's
think that you got
huge.
there?
Yeah, that's huge. And the way that I got there was by being someone that was so consumed with my thoughts when I was in my 20s that I wanted to kill myself. Like I was so anxious and so depressed. I'll never forget one morning waking up and like being in my Chicago apartment, and my best friend from growing up was in this living room. She was like sleeping on the couch as you do. And I remember waking up and having like a split couple seconds before my anxiety started again. And I was like, woke up and it was like this clearing. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was like so excited. I was like, yay, I'm about to like start my day and like be a normal person. And then my anxiety just kicked in. And I was like,
Wow.
and I was like, I can't live like this anymore. Like, I literally can't. Like, this is just torture. And what my anxiety was saying was, what are you doing here? What is your purpose? Like, you need to find a life that's a lot. Like, I wanted for more. Like, my soul
Mm.
was so desperately calling me forward towards a life of service, towards a life that was more aligned to me. But it felt painful and it felt stressful and it felt overwhelming. And it felt like I didn't have enough time. And it felt like, what was I doing here in Chicago in this kind of life? And so, now I perceive anxiety to be sort of the voice of the soul sometimes, but it was
Mm.
that feeling of like not being able to be where I was. And I'll never forget the quote, like, wherever you go, there you are. And it's simple and we all kind of have heard it, but the way it's so powerful because I remember doing that. I would travel, I would be places, but because my mind was controlling my entire reality, I could never be present or enjoy or be grateful or, be anywhere. So now that I've cultivated a relationship with myself and my soul and my mental health, and it hasn't been easy over the years, I enjoy my time contemplating so deeply. And I believe that the contemplation time is what keeps us from being like a robot to a human.
Mm.
The obsession with productivity that people have where it's like as soon as you wake up in the morning, I mean that's insane to think about just putting a screen in front of your face, having input immediately from some other outside source and spending your entire day just having outside input it into your soul and input it into your psyche when like we are here to create. That creation time is outward energy rather than inward energy. And like I do not want to live my life with complete input energy of podcasts, of Instagram, of social media, of YouTubes, of all of other people's input. Like we are here to actually have things that come through our channel, that come through our soul, be created here on earth. And I don't want to miss it. I don't want to deny that. And so I do try and spend time in contemplation. And for me, that wasn't comfortable at first. I didn't want to do it. I felt so insane in my thoughts. I felt so uncomfortable, but I continued to persist because I knew that there had to be a better way. I knew that if I listened, that there would be a time when I would feel at peace in my mind. And for anyone listening, what it can look like for you to spend time with yourself if they want some actionable tips is spending time driving alone. So I drive alone and I don't listen to anything.
Mm.
So it's kind of a multitasking thing where I have a lot of time in Los Angeles driving and you can just not have radio, not have your phone, just be in silence and just allow your mind to wander and think, allow things to come up. And then you can also do it before bed. Like I really love to kind of like clean out, like take out the laundry at the end of the day and just kind of allow my mind to sift and sort and process things and sort of move. And you can really look at what are the loop thoughts that you have? Like what's been going on? How are you feeling? Like what do you want to create? What can you sort of let marinate and resonate for the last parts of the day? And it's like some of my favorite time where I can get in bed and I can be with myself and my imagination and I can be like, oh my gosh, what do I want to think about? What do I want to do? Because if we are spending so much time just with input, you're never going to live a life that you want. You're never going to live your own experience. You're never going to be able to create anything beyond just being a robot and like part of the system because you haven't allowed your humanness or your like magic to come through and come out.
I love the part where you say it's just going on a drive without anything, because it can be probably a walk. Like I listen to usually
Yes.
music or podcasts when I walk, but when
Yeah.
occasionally do it in silence, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not even that there's like a process of how we do that. It's just like what you said about it. It's just things that see what comes to you, see what your mind is like drawn to doing, because it's that sort of like it knows how to self clean. It knows how to kind of bring you to the things it's going to need to bring you to. So I find that so soothing to know that it's not like here's a 3-step process that you need to like
Yes.
consciously apply. It's like no, we just have to have the discipline to pull the plug out sometimes from
Yes.
the input stream, like you said, because
Yeah.
then we're just consumers and not creators. And then I think the
I'm
longer you're in there, you're like, oh yeah, there's nothing in me. I don't have any evidence that I could come up with any wisdom or insight
yes.
or inspiration or be a channel.
Yeah, I feel like if we want to be vessels, if you want to be a vessel for your soul or for God or for creativity, what I've noticed is that there's almost a process of like switching channels. So if you have your channel running and you're plugged into the collective consciousness, you're plugged into the media, you're plugged into someone else's like whatever, you
Mm,
kind of have to wait and clear the channel. And it's almost like a switching of the energy to allow what is in you to come out or to allow your channel to really allow you to express. And you do this beautifully too, like with writing, like you have literally like books and books and books on your computer, and you spend your time in your hotel room, in the robe, in your ritual. And I think people are more in ritual than we think. Like your
mm,
ritual is robe, green tea, computer, hotel room. And like as much as it's just like part of who you are, but it's a ritual that allows your body, mind, and soul to open your channel to write all of the things and create all of the things that you've brought through in the app. Like
mm.
it's insane. And that wouldn't happen if you were running around to lunches and dinners and you were on the phone and you were, just kind of worried about like a bunch of other stuff, but you were like actually focused and allowing your creativity to come through. And so whether people ritualize it, I think that always can be helpful too, because you're kind
Yeah.
of creating a space and intention.
And it allows your mind, I think, to be like, okay, we've gone and done these other things like dinners and lunches and whatever, and all of that is necessary and it's fun. But also now here's like me telling my eyes that we are switching back into like that gear. And I, by the way, I feel you on that switch because sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like it takes longer to like kind of come back to yourself after you've been doing those other things. And it's kind of like, well, hold on, why is it taking longer this time? And why can't I like switch back? Do you find that yours is like more consistent, or are you sometimes like thrown
No.
by the the switching gears?
What do you mean? I'm like, I like sometimes I'll just end the day and I'm just bawling because I'm just like, dude, I'm so Piscean. I'm so like, I'm just on another planet. And it's interesting as I was looking at there's this creator, her name's Emma on the Brain, and she's a neuroscientist. And I was watching one of her reels, and it was really interesting because what's happening is we almost have this energy frequency of like these like tendrils. It's kind of like we're little octopus.
Hmm.
And mine is actually in touch with yours is in touch with mine. And this is where we're sort of in each other's field and in each other's consciousness and experience. And this is attunement. We're tuning to each other. So what can happen is like it's harder to come out if you're constantly going in other people's fields. And really, it is the experience of you coming out completely into your own channel, into your own psyche and experience. And when people are around people all the time at work, with their kids, with partners, whatever, it just takes longer and you have to get more used to kind of being in your own field and being in your own thoughts. And because I work so deeply and intimately with people, like I'm truly in session in their psyche. Like we are fully in, and I'm kind of outside of myself. I'm so present. I really have to do really good hygiene with that, because otherwise it will really mess up my mood. And now I think for a lot of people, we can think about mood swings or mood changes. Like a lot of times it's not even us. It's like us being in other people's fields that got sticky and messy. And when we can clear our channel as much as possible, we can get back to the truth of our divinity or the truth of our essence.
So actually, what do you do when you're obviously just aside from just being in your own space? Are there any things that you do that are little rituals that kind of bring you back from like, when you've worked with someone so deeply one on one, when you take clients, like you do sometimes multiple a day?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you, I mean, are you lighting something? Are you saying a prayer? Are you like, what do you do?
Yeah. I think I'll explain what I do, and I'll say first that like everyone's is going to be different.
Yeah.
So if you grew up, in Europe with a different type of religion, if you're Jewish, yours is going to be a different prayer, a different sort of set of guides, a different set of circumstances. Just my spiritual algorithm creates my specific prayer and practice. And you know what's funny, babe, is I got a lot of my prayer from Heath.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah. So someone that both Jenna and I worked with, Lindsay worked with him too, like a lot of his prayers from me. So now I have the awareness of what's happening in container. So before container with someone, before I'm like going deep with someone, I'll set the prayer for like the highest good and the highest intention. I'll call on my guides and I will like allow myself to be fully present. I will actually watch and think about my channel and I'll kind of notice when I'm too far in and I sometimes will just plug back into source or God. So it's
Beautiful.
helpful for me to be in other people's psyches if we're kind of working on something, like I can kind of have intuitive hits about things, but it's actually the most helpful if I'm plugged into God. So we can think about ourselves when we're in space with people, just plugging ourselves into source, plugging ourselves into God. You know
Wow.
what I mean? So it's like this, instead of being like this with people where we're like, hey, how are you? What's going on? You just plug straight into source.
So
And so
you're
I'll do
horizontal,
that.
not you're not horizontal, you're vertical, just for people
Nope.
listening who can't see the hands. Like
Yes.
you're going up to down,
Yep.
not yeah, I love that.
Imagine you have like a light pillar that's like fully plugged in through the anchored in the earth, through the root of your feet, and then all the way up to heaven. And that's where your energy channel is going. And then at the end of session, I will send their energy back. So I'll just send their energy back clean and clear. You know, I will reclaim my own essence and my own energy. And then I will just imagine almost like this is the last part. I imagine the sun just like dissolving anything from my field that I no longer need. So the elements are really beautiful if you're ever using them in meditation or in any of your spiritual practices, whether it's the sun dissolving any psychic debris, any static, anything funky from your field can be really nice. You can imagine the wind just kind of cleansing and clearing your aura. You can imagine water just purifying you. These sort of psychic, visualizations are just so helpful. And I really, really think have allowed me to do so much more and have so much more capacity.
Wow, that's amazing. Because if you're obviously taking on too much of people, then it's draining your vessel. You're able to do less. It's costing you too much, and it's not really truly allowing you, I guess, mastery, for want of a better word, with the actual sharing of the gifts. That's what's happening when you are in a session with people, and also all the other, you wear so
Yeah.
many hats.
What do you feel like you do
Um,
about that?
but what is coming
What
up?
do you do about that?
The clear
Yeah.
when I clear people's energy. Um, I think what I really try to do, my favorite thing is just like put my hand on my heart again,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
think so much of it is like taking on like the information that we exchange with people. It's what the he said and the she said and what I said and all that kind of thing. Whereas like putting my hand on my heart is just a reminder that what really makes life colorful is like the feelings that I'm having. Like I bring myself back to it's my experience. This is my movie. This is not an objective reality. Like I don't have to get caught up in, like, as much as I can invest in other people's reality, like to be there with them, it's not the same as like buying into their truth as their truth in a
Yeah.
way, or the main focus of my day or whatever it is. And I can just always come back to like, oh, this is me. There's the divine in me. What does it still want? What's important to me today? It's just like I try to just do like a little bit of a recentering. Usually I just like sit on the bathroom floor because it's a place where there's like so much quiet anywhere that I am. And it just feels like, okay, this is where I just get to like have a little bit of a like date
Yeah.
back to me. But I also do want to say that I sometimes forget until it gets
Yeah.
too
Same.
much. So I'm not as disciplined with it as you are, where, or at least in my perception, where I could let probably two or three slide and then I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like far away from the core channel. So like, let's bring it back in,
Yes.
you know?
You know what's funny is like sitting on the bathroom floor. A lot of times the bathroom floor is stone. So it's almost like a grounding energy right away. So you're already intuitively doing that.
Mm,
And then the hand on the heart is so major. I'm so glad. Actually, first of all, hand on the heart in bathroom. Anyone can do this. I do this on dates all the time. If I'm on a date
mm.
with someone, I'll go to the bathroom and just kind of like check in. I'm like, how am I feeling? What's going on? Like, am I like just having chemistry with a wall? Like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, who am I? Like, what am I doing? And then the hand over heart's like reminder of the physical body. Like, oh my, because I'm so out there. Sometimes I'm
Mm,
like, oh my God, I have legs. Like, just like, okay, the physical
yeah.
body is here. We are present. Like, those are so simple and so beautiful. And I think anyone can do those now. I'm so grateful you said those.
Yeah. They're so powerful because it's like we're living in a world that is so mind driven that we do forget like where the divine is, like where does it live? It's like it lives inside our body. Where does our feelings, our emotions, like life doesn't happen outside of us. It's like our experience of it, and that's inside the body. So it's just like, oh God, but I'm the opposite of you. Like I will hold my bladder for 4 hours of a day and then I'll forget to even go to the loo. So that's also a good reminder.
Yeah, you're just, I mean, honestly, the genius level that you have is so crazy. So like, we don't even know what kind of like stuff's going on in your mind. And you're just like, yeah, I mean, you're the deepest feeling.
I'm like desperate to
No,
pee
honest, your
afterwards.
body's like, what about us?
But that's also what you're so good at. Like you've done again, you're such a distiller across every pillar of life. Like you've done so much on the body where like when I hear you speak about it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, this and this and this. But the way that you like take the time to actually put things into words is sometimes even just hearing someone explain something that you can't yet like fully like crystallize in your
Mhm.
mind is so helpful. And actually, honestly, I think that's truly what your book is going to do, is that you provided like such a framework
Mhm.
for things that we get told a lot of like nice sounding platitudes about, right? Like change is like not a
Mhm.
scary thing. You don't have to be afraid of it. It's here to up level you, whatever. But then there's like a real like you had this combination being so like Piscean and being so kind of comfortable with the liminal, where you like get the existential parts of all
Mhm.
these things, but then you also have like, okay, these are the practices and this is why this works and this is when to try it. That's a very like unique conversation, and honestly something that our friendship, like we speak a lot about all the
Oh,
existential parts of
always.
life, and you're my like go-to
Mhm.
person for that, because I don't feel like it's uh not cuckoo to say. And with you, we're always like, what are we doing? We're
Oh, no.
humans, we're like in this skin, like what's going on here,
Oh my
like,
God. If
and yet we have to like go and brush our teeth, or we have to go to get our car fixed. Like what's this all about? We both kind of share that in common, but I actually think that a lot of people are feeling that too, but just don't necessarily feel like they could say how weird life
yeah, we're
feels.
just two aliens. Like, and I'm so grateful you brought this in because I always want to make sure that people know the truth and they would see your life is just stunning, and it truly is. Like I'm in it, I'm a part of it. It's been such an expander for me of how to live and how to live well and how to live in your values and just beauty and abundance and all of that. And my life looks beautiful on the outside too, but we are people that are like on walks and we're like, what's the point of this? What are we even doing here? It's like sometimes Jen and I will be on walks and we'll be like looking at flowers and we're like, can you believe a flower is real? That they exist on earth and they're
Yeah.
here for us to enjoy. And we'll be like taking in the beauty of everything. And then sometimes we're like, who even cares about any of this? Like we'll just totally be like,
Yeah.
what is the absolute point? But that is like part of the human experience,
Mm,
the oscillation between the divine moments and then the very mundane moments and the very real moments, like between the human and between the soul part of life. I think what's been beautiful about getting older is having a better relationship with that and having a more playful relationship with that.
mm,
Where when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm so existential anyways. When I was younger, I just was like too existential for life. And I saw
yeah.
more of the existential why, but I didn't see the beauty and I didn't see the opportunity of things. And I really didn't see
Mm,
how fun life could be and how magical it can be and how much we can play with life and how much we can create in life. And the more I've been in touch with my soul and the more I've been able to be with change and know that change is for the good and know that, not knowing is part of the journey and not knowing is what makes things fun and not knowing is a part of the magic. And what we can know with our mind is so limiting. Like there's just such a limit
mm.
to what we believe we can see. And I think my practice right now, I've just been in deep conversation with God where I'm like, please help me surrender. Like I really deeply want to surrender more, but I have such fear around surrender. I have fear that surrender means I won't get what I want, and surrender means I'm not going to have a life that I want. And God's like, you think that you know what you can create and what you can
Yeah.
do. And as soon as you let go, it's going to be bigger and better and more beautiful and more magical than you can ever imagine. But I think our mind grips
Mm.
because we just get so scared that surrender is going to mean something not good. But really, it's that surrender to what's possible where we can really find ourselves and find the life that we truly are meant for.
Yeah. It's interesting when you use that word surrender because I think it's one of those words that gets
I
used so much that
know.
it's almost lost its kind of
Totally.
like charge, but it's so powerful because I even think about this in a small way where people who are, let's say they're so driven and it's coming from trauma and they don't want to be like addicted to the drive all the time. But it's almost like they we believe that if we get rid of the sort of like negative drives, then all of a sudden that means we'll lose our passion and never be successful, and then we're going to be left out. And I think that's what you're saying about like when you're saying the mind is trying to cling on, it's like, oh, well, if I'm not in control, I don't trust that good things could
Yes.
happen for me without the sort of negative behaviors of controlling, manipulating, pre-thinking about outcomes, over obsessing, all of that stuff, when actually things can get better, but we can only viscerally see that things get better if we try it. There's no amount of information that is going to soothe the unknown. The unknown has to be innately there. So you've just become better at dancing with the unknown. You haven't made the unknown go away.
Yes.
And that's,
I
I think, the key
yeah, that's
difference.
beautiful. I think the dance with anything. And yeah, I still struggle. I hold so
Mm.
tightly to so many things that, like, success or all the things like I've been talking about, I've been jamming on about the same stuff for 8 years, man. What's funny is the things in my life that I've let go of and surrendered have been the best. I let go of a relationship, my marriage, and that was not easy. That was not simple. But I literally, as soon as I let go, just this boom expansion of a life that I never thought was possible. And it doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean it's like, but it means that it's so aligned for me and it's so true for me. And now I just really seek to let go of where I think I should be going or what I think I should be doing and
Mm.
stay more in the present moment of what's being called to me, what's being asked to me. And that doesn't mean that I'm in Madison Square Garden, in front of like 50,000 people. It means that I'm like
Right.
smiling at the barista. It means I'm like hugging a friend longer than I thought I'd be able to. Like it actually is like, it's
Mhm.
simple, it's human, but it's also soulful. And like, it's more of the human than anything else.
That's so beautiful. And I feel like sometimes the reason why we're afraid to let go is because we think what's coming on the other side is going to
I
be
know.
worse. Something I've been doing recently is when I'm saying I'm asking for, the next level of my life, whatever that looks like for anyone. And I say, take anything that is standing in the way because I know what you're going to give me is going to be better anyway. So then, of course, I can afford to lose it if I know it's going to be better. Like, I don't even want to keep it if I looked back and said, "Oh, I used to have it better back then," but that's not gonna happen if you're also changing who you are and what you're saying about, like, the smiling at the barista and hugging the friend longer. Like, there's so many people who have everything on paper,
Yeah.
and yet they can't do that, and that's what creates like, then you're in a prison, it's a gold prison and it's fancy, but you're still in a prison of your own disconnection and suffering and, all of that kind of thing. So letting go, I think it gets harder every time you do it because it's obviously then a match for wherever you're at, like the size of, your being. But I think you just get better at
Yeah.
trusting it, would you
Yeah.
say? Like believing it how it
Yeah, I
works?
think this is, when we think about the lessons of the human experience in life, like this is one of the core lessons. So it's not like it's like a simple thing that
Mm,
we can just be like, yeah, it's like,
mm,
this is a thing you have to continually do and trust and have faith. And God is
mm,
available to meet you every step of the way. But the way that I think we can get better about it and the way that I have gotten better about it, even though I still grip to so many things, is just by metabolizing the small surrenders, like doing the small letting go. It's like, okay,
ooh,
cool. You know, I ordered something online and something different came. It's like, cool, how could this be for my greatest good? Like, thank you. And I think Kabbalah teaches a lot of that. It's like, whatever's happening, say thanks. Whatever is like, you're experiencing, we should be thankful for. And just kind of taking in the small moments, the small conversations, like, oh, this person canceled on dinner. How could this be for my greatest good? Like, now I can rest at home. Now I can go to bed early. Now I can snuggle with my cats. Like, that sounds really, really great.
mhm.
And then you can really work your way into having more faith and more trust. And you could also just have a real conversation with God. Like, I'm such a fan of being honest and truthful and developing a relationship that feels like you and that feels equal and that feels co-collaborative with God. And you could be like, hey, I want to surrender more. Like I'm looking to surrender more. Can you help me? Can you show me the way? And a part of that
Yeah.
I have to be mindful of because, there's a part of me that's like, I want to surrender more, but the energy behind that is I want to surrender more to get more. And so that's
Right.
opposite of what I'm asking. Do you know
Mm,
what I mean? So we always have to
mm,
be mindful of
mm-hmm.
like what our truth is because I'll have people ask me that all the time. They're like, I want to surrender this relationship. I want to like, whatever. I'm like, oh, you're surrendering because you could think that's going to get you the relationship, but that's actually the thing.
Yeah, like it's being transactional with the
Oh yeah,
higher
that story
power,
of my life.
which
I've been
yeah,
negotiating for the past weeks. I'm
yeah.
like, I'll do that. I'm like, I'll do this and you do this. I'm like, I'm here for service. If you make service look like this, like, yeah,
Deal?
literally,
We got a
literally, I'm like walking up to the table. I'm like,
deal?
I'm here for you. If you make you look luxurious and sexy and fun and like, I got my man, like, cause I'm like, I don't want to be here for service and be like nailed to the cross, man. I'm like, I want to be like, I want to love my
Yeah.
life. But yeah, so it's not
Maybe Jesus should have bargained more.
honestly,
I'm
dude, for
kidding.
sure. I'm like, our man was just not ready for it. But it's
He was
he
lowballing.
was. It's such a hard part of life because we want things, we desire things, we want to create. We are creators, like I think
Mhm.
also too that's helped me surrender is almost like distracting myself in other areas of life, like not staying distracted, but staying on purpose and creating and with people that I love and in
Mm,
ways that I love so that I'm not so focused on things. Like as an example with
mm,
like our book process, it's just a lot. You do a lot, you're in a lot of interviews or you're talking to a lot of people. And I think me being focused on dating or my friendships or relationships has helped kept me in a
yeah.
really good flow of love and of connection so that I'm not sitting all night and all day like, okay, we have to do this thing, we have to do this thing. And that spaciousness is like
Mm,
trust. And that spaciousness allows more energy to come in that's natural rather than me continuing to pour in and force things.
yeah. My sister says that all the time about acting because you do so much auditioning.
Yes.
And she's like, I pour all of my expectation of feeling to be creative on my auditions.
Yes.
But when she takes the pressure off by like learning the ukulele or she gets back to drawing Japanese manga or she goes to singing lessons, like it's kind of, I guess it makes you more whole and more
Yep.
balanced. But on the surrender thing, I don't think I've ever said this to you, but I remember a few months ago, and I don't know if you talked about this, so you tell me. Um, when the fires broke out in LA and you were going to be basically moving to the Palisades like a week after the fires, and I checked in on you and I said, Is your house still there? The one you're going to be renting and everything. And something so magical came as a result of it. But I remember also thinking, and I'm sure you had a moment when it first happened of what am I going to do? But you diverted and pivoted and went with that flow or
Mhm.
metabolized the thing not going the way that you thought it was going to so
Mhm.
gracefully to me. And it was such an expander moment for me because I'm like, oh my God, it's that classical thing of something way
Yeah.
better was literally being given to
Yes.
you. And now you're living in like your dream
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember that. I was in the space that my ex and I had been in, and I knew I wanted to move. I had redone the place, so it felt like different energy, but there was just a moment where I had some of my healers come stay with me and they were like, this place is too loud for you. It's just kind of in a chaotic area. And I was like, okay, God, like I thought I would be moving into a home with my man. Like I had been holding out to be married or be with my man. And that was my vision. I had held tightly to a limited vision of my life. I was like, I will be in a home with my husband or nothing. And then as soon as I was like, you know
Mm,
what? I'm available for a different experience. And this is the thing with people. All you need to do is say that. You don't need to say, I want this, I want this. It's just like,
beautiful.
I'm available for something new. I'm gonna let you move. So I have always wanted to live in the Palisades. Like it's just such a stunning place. And it's so heartbreaking what happened. And I found this beautiful dream home. I was like, oh my God, this is everything. Like I was like, my friends can stay. I was like, me and Jenna can hang out. Like I was just like, I had the vision. I was like, okay.
Mm,
And then the fires broke out. I traveled to Canada for something. And I was just like, oh, my home was completely gone. The home that I looked at, the home that I loved, just completely taken down. And obviously there's bigger things and there's bigger things to worry about and stuff. It's not all about me and my experience, but I just was like, okay, you know what? Like, if I'm really truthful and honest, like, I probably went a little bit outside my budget. I probably went a little at the top of the range of things. So how could this be for something good? And then in that process, I just trusted. I was like, you know what? This is stunning and beautiful, but I found that house quickly. I can find another one quickly. And I found the one that I'm living in now, at the first one I opened to availability after. And it's just been perfect. Like, it's I have friends staying with me all the time. Like, it's just everything. But I really think that when you can come to a place of deep surrender and trust and belief that, like, it's going to be fine and it's going to be for your good, that not only manifests, but like, you can just then experience the beauty and magic of life. And I had not only that happen with the home, but I also met someone in Canada that I deeply connected with. And it gave me this gift of this connection that was also very magical to me. So it was kind of like a double whammy experience of something really dark and challenging, and then something also really beautiful, that I was able to experience. And just as a last thing, it's like, when you also have your priorities straight, when I'm like, I'm healthy, everyone I love is well, like, I am safe, that's what matters the most. Like, the home is kind of the external experience of whatever. It's like, I know that I'm well, I know that I'm healthy, everyone I love is taken care of, and that's all I can really trust and know that I need to focus on.
Mm. And I love that you said, when you moved in and you sent me a video and you said, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I have a yard for my cats to play in. And it's making me so happy watching them play. It's funny how we sometimes can't predict the sort of like extra things that are going to make us happy. Like,
Yes.
we all know they're like pillar things, but there's so much other stuff that is just like there to tickle and delight you as part of the
Yes.
package, that, that's one of the reasons why I love you, is because you are someone who's able to, you're taking in life
Yeah.
deeply as well. You're
Mhm.
noticing that kind of thing. Like, oh, how amazing that these two beautiful animals that are unconditional love are having a good time on Earth.
Literally.
You know,
Literally.
like, that's the kind of stuff that makes me feel so happy to be alive, is like that kind of co-noticing and co-appreciation and seeing life with those kinds of eyes, because you can have the exact same life and with the lens that, the kind of glasses that you're wearing, and you can train yourself to upgrade your prescription,
Yes.
for want of a better
Yeah, you're
word.
so good at
And
that.
that's what's so
We like
beautiful.
sit, I mean, me and you, we like sit at lunches for like 4 hours and we're just like, wow, can you believe this? Can you believe, and just in awe. And
I know.
I'm so grateful that you have the community that you have and I have the community that I have, because I'm not perfect at all, and I have my things, but like, to bring forward
Mm,
that appreciation and gratitude for those small things and the little things, and to notice
mm,
not everyone does that. And it is something that you trained. And I'm glad that you said that, because I've had to train that. I used to only
mhm,
see, um, where I wasn't enough, or where things weren't working, or where I was struggling, or where the world wasn't right. And the more I've been able to really come into the reality of life. And I think A Course in Miracles, I would say, is my recommendation for people and who really want to
mm,
connect with reality, rather than like the illusion of media, the illusion of social media, the illusion of anyone else's experience, the illusion of separation, whatever. That can really help you to connect with the truth, because the truth is, like, we are in this like beautiful, magical experience that, like, is just has so much richness to offer when we can actually see it properly. And I think the glasses example is like perfect.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I do think that's half of the battle with the whole, like, being kind of existential and then being like
Yeah.
physical human, because it's like that it's almost like if you over start identifying with the human side, that's when you forget the, wow, this is like a place of limitless possibility. This is a place of divinity. This is a place of connection. This is a place where, we get to change and see it become real, and we get to watch our dreams happen. And it's a world of colors. Like, that wonder goes away when we're sort of over identified with just like the daily like humdrum and the consumption and the world that everyone else tells us that we're in, which is, I think everyone listening to this on a deeper level knows that there's more to life than just
Mhm.
that. Um, but you're really someone who I when I'm with you, it's easier to remember that, and I think because we both bring that to our friendship. And so I also want to tell people that you can, if you bring that forward, you might be surprised at how many other people
Yeah.
kind of like willingly also are feeling the same thing. Like I think our egos tell us we're much more different than we actually are to
Mhm.
people, but everyone is like a weird, like God wrapped in a weird, like tiny human skin. Like
Mhm.
my one of my Kabbalah teachers in London said it's like being in a tuna can, you know,
Mhm.
like you're the whole universe and you're like squeezed into a can and you're
Mhm.
like, you know, wrapped
Mhm.
in next to the oil. Like it's just
Yep.
weird. It's just a weird
Yeah.
experience.
Ram Dass says,
Um,
like, death is like taking off a tight shoe. He's like, it's almost like the physical body just like holds us into this experience on earth. And in the Bible, it says, be of the world, but not in the world. It's like, be here and be present and
mm,
attuned to, but don't be fully attached to this world or this experience or this body. It's that dance. And all of this, like, I think what you're saying and what I'm saying too is like, it's all the dance. It's the oscillation. It's never fully
mm,
spiritual. It's never fully human. It's like we just move in and out. Like there are some days where I'm like, oh, I'm doing my taxes. I'm doing my accounting. I am, just in the mundane humdrum of life. And then there's some moments where you just wake up and you're like, wow, I'm bawling on the floor. I'm so grateful and connected to God. And of course, we want more of that connectedness, more of that expansion, but it's part of the experience to be in and out of it.
it's so true. I think that's what, when you say that, I just feel freedom in myself because I think the mind is always trying to define like which one is the right one to be
Yeah.
in, which one is the more me, like all of that kind of stuff. But actually, that we come here for the
Yep.
variety.
Yep. In A Course in Miracles, they say, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. And so it's really like
Oh,
just being with the presence of your relationship to the world and your relationship to this experience most and attuning to. And that's what I
mm,
always remember too. And I think you do a beautiful job at this. It's like, I was put in this body, in this experience, in this life. Like I want to be as present for this one as possible. I want to make it the most of it. I want to experience it in a way that feels true for me, in a way that God designed me. Like God didn't make us to be so concerned about other people's lives and experiences and to not create in a way that feels true for us. Like we are the unique emanation of God because God wants us to create and live in that and radiate that and experience that. And I feel so lucky that I've been able to attune to
mhm.
that at times.
It's also beautiful when, you know, that whole thing about like no one is coming to save you but
Yeah.
you. I remember having those moments where I had to be
Yeah.
like, you know, you have to be kind of let yourself feel sorry for yourself. Well, I
I
do. I
same.
always give myself a moment to feel sorry for myself. But then at some point, I'm like, the reason why you don't like your life, the positive thing is that you now can like be the one to come and, you know, pull your
Mhm.
britches up and you can make it. Like, come on, it's almost like you believing in your own
Yes.
strength and knowing that it's there and that you can do that. Like there's something that is so, and you know, that never ends to me, honestly. Like I always have to reach for new levels of strength of like, yes, I can make it anything. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you can keep it going and just higher and higher because that's really what like the sovereignty or the remembering that the divine is like also not listening to the ego stories of you're not as interesting as
Yeah.
other people or as gifted as other people or as capable as other people. Like that's also negative consciousness and such a, I think it's especially a woman
Yeah.
thing that we struggle with so
Yeah.
much.
Because we're
Um,
just so psychic.
and every time I notice that
We're like
now,
so
yeah,
like women are such sensory creatures. So we're plugged into the collective consciousness. We're plugged into other people's consciousness. And I think the more people can kind of pull out of that and into the truth. And now it's like, it's very delusional of me, but anytime I have a thought that's not perfect, I'm like, that's not mine. Like, I'm just like, if I'm like, oh, I'm not enough, I'm like, oh, that's not mine. I'm not successful. Oh, that's not
yeah,
mine. Like, it just making it very
hmm,
clear, black and white that like
I love
I
that.
am perfect. And again, I'm not perfect, but if I'm like, if I
Mhm.
think that I'm perfect and my thoughts are perfect, then anything that's not perfect is not my thought. And I can really just kind of send it back.
I love that's such a helpful deconditioning tool is like in real time
Hmm.
noticing what you're thinking and saying, do I want to buy into this and give it airtime, or do I want to say thanks but
Yep.
no thanks, moving swiftly
Yep. I
along?
say, I do not consent. Oftentimes I'll go to
Love
places
that.
and spaces where, especially living in Los Angeles as an example, you can be at a party or a dinner and there's a lot of people that have beliefs that they're not enough. They need to lose weight or they need to change their body or they need to be richer or they need to be more successful. And so if there's a lot of people that have those thoughts, that collective energy is just sort of creating this collective consciousness and this frequency that people can sort of plug into unconsciously. What I'll do is just if ever I have a thought that enters my psyche from this consciousness, I'll just say, I do not consent. I'm like, I don't want that thought.
I
That's
love
not
that.
mine. It's not a part of my experience. And it just keeps me in the truth because it's not like I don't deal with my own thoughts
Mm.
that like come in, but it's like actually so much of what we work with and we struggle with isn't even ours.
Yeah. Wow. And I think that that's, as you're saying that, I'm like, wow, we just torture ourselves with taking all of it on and
Yes.
accepting it all. And we actually, it's like before he even opens the door, we still have a choice. I love that you put it that way. And you're right. Otherwise, it's just swimming in a soup of other people's stuff that we never really thought we could just unsubscribe from. And there's so much
I
power in
know.
that. I also love when I see you actually tell me what you do when I'm seeing you, like,
Oh
tapping
yeah.
things. Like, we'll just be, like, sitting somewhere and you're just, like, tapping parts of your body. Like, is that part of the not consenting or is that a whole other
It's
thing?
both. So EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, is really amazing because basically you use your fingers to karate chop or hit specific points on the body that can hold energy. And so when we have thoughts, it can be helpful to bring the thoughts out of the mind and clear them from an energy
Mm,
point perspective with our fingers. So as an example, you can take your four fingers and you can tap on the middle of your chest, like your heart space. And not only does this connect you to the body, but it helps to move energy because a lot of times when we have loop
mm,
thoughts or we have these beliefs, they're really just in the mind and it can be helpful to metabolize them through the body to let them go. So I will tap all the time and
mm.
I will tap sometimes when I have a thought that I want to like double click on, say as an example, like if you're
Mm.
talking to me, like you're just you're so loving. Like you've really helped me to develop into the person that I am just by your reflections and by your love and your kindness. And so sometimes if you're saying stuff to me, I'll just tap on my body because I don't want to forget it. And I want to kind of like implant it in my
Mm.
cells and just like keep it. And so that kind of getting out of my mind relationship with what you're saying and getting into the body and just like, ooh, like don't forget, like tap it in, like put it in your body
Oh, that's
and then
cute.
there's sometimes when I have a thought that will come up where I'll be somewhere and I'm like, oh, I'm not enough, or, I'm not smart enough, or they're more successful than me, whatever the thoughts are. I'll tap on
Mhm.
my body as well to just kind of move that energy and clear it. So you can do it to implant and like kind of double
Yeah.
click on, and then you can do it to clear your
Mhm.
energy too. But I'm really grateful you're bringing these things up because I really want people to know that there are such simple, simple things that they can do on a daily basis to shift their state and to shift their mindset. Like it can be hard to go from, hating yourself in your life to loving yourself and loving your
Yeah.
experience. But when we kind of take responsibility in these moments to kind of responsibility for the mind, responsibility for our relationship to our body, relationship to other, it can be so much easier to kind of step into your power and in your own life and experience because you're doing the small actions.
Yeah. And that's really what I think, as the person who distills so well, and you are so aware of so many modalities, and you've really kind of like spent time and attention and energy like figuring out and kind of extracting the parts that are really like
Mhm,
needle moving of those things, and what do you kind of carry on in your own being, like you amass so many different things that to have it all in a book is so
mhm.
like it's a real proper handbook. Like
I
it's just
remember
like
you
a
saying that.
one that you'll just kind of pick up and thumb
Mhm,
again and again. I think it's just a different approach because you're not saying there's this one method or this one way. You're saying like, here's all the different ways, like
mhm.
somatically, here's spiritually, here's psychically, here's emotionally what you do for any time that you're wanting to make a change or life is bringing a change to your door, right?
Yes,
For both levels, right?
yes. I always ask,
So I just really hope it's a
I think
companion.
with this, with what you do, especially, and then with what I try and do, I think we both come with the question, like, is this helpful? You know, is this
Mm,
helpful? Because otherwise it's like, what are we even doing here with all of this stuff? And what is the point of it all? And I really have tried a lot of different things. I've experimented with a lot of different things. I see myself as an alien here on earth, just kind of like taking it all in. And I wanted things to
mhm,
be helpful. Like we have quotes from you in there. We have, so much from you in there as well. Because I do believe that if I would have had this guide when I was in my late 20s, even in my early 30s, like my life would be completely different. I think the first core thing
mm,
is that the belief that we're always behind. You're not behind, you're becoming. Like you truly are on your way to your life that you love if you're approaching things with consciousness and with the belief that anything is
Mm,
possible. And I just felt so lost in my late 20s. I wanted for more and I didn't know where to go. And so to put everything I've learned in this process of becoming the woman I am and building a life that I love just feels like such a joy. And it took me a while to get
mm,
here to be like in the truth of that. And it feels so good to be in the knowance that like this book is amazing. And I'm really grateful that I'm able
mm.
to gift it to the world.
It's so beautiful because it's been done in so much service, and it's done not just because of like, this is what worked for me and here's how you do it too, but also like from someone who's such a deep listener, so porous in a positive way, and has been exposed to listening to, so many like wise people and different ideas. And you're always, open to hearing new things. And you always just are curious. Like no matter where you settle, you're never clinging to a certain ideal. So you've really just have a mind that is just like, 25,000 tentacles, and just brought everything back and gone, shoo,
Mhm.
you know, and in the most like purely intention
Mhm.
kind of way, where this is not about who you are and like, let's
Yeah.
be like you, or there's a one method that's going to change everything. It's like, it's such a wide, comprehensive, almost like a
Yeah.
thesaurus of spirituality, for want of a better
Yeah.
word, or a thesaurus of change, something like
Yeah.
that, anatomy of change, really, a true dissection of that whole, all the different layers in that process, which I think is like genuinely what makes it so
Yeah.
unique. And if you listen to my podcast, if you follow me on social media, like I really don't like recommend
I
like,
know.
but I don't talk about books and things and all that kind of stuff. And that's why, like, genuinely, I really think this is like so needle moving to have this kind of a distillation on something that we often feel so
Yeah.
murky in. And like, where do I start? And like, what's the right thing? And where do I even, and you can just like go through it, see whatever
Mhm.
resonates with you most and start there. And then you have thousands more tips in
Mhm.
there too. So then you can just kind of pick
Mhm.
up and use it how you want to use it, which is so nice and so freeing, and just a real like handhold
Mhm.
through that, which I think is actually the thing we need the most,
Yeah.
really.
I
Um,
appreciate you so much. And it is that. And then, I wanted to also include some stories that I've never shared, like very vulnerable stuff about my journey that felt really raw and truthful because I felt like I want to tell people what's up with tips because we've learned so much from people like you and some of the amazing guests and experts we've had on. But I didn't want to lose that human element of how I've
mm,
moved through things and how I've processed things because it's not always about like, oh, like I know this thing. It's like, how did I get there? You know what I
right.
mean? So there's also
Mm,
those like storytelling elements too, which I'm really proud of. But yeah, I mean, to be able to be here
yeah,
now with you, like 8 years later after knowing you for so long, seeing each other through so much change and transformation. Your book, your relationship, my relationship, your moves, my moves, our dating, our friendship stuff. Like it's like just so wild. And it's such it's such
mm,
a beautiful thing that I just there's things that when you know you're on the right path. And like so much of our relationship for me is that.
same here. And I really, it's almost a template for me of how I want,
Yeah.
like kind of what you were saying in the beginning. It's like when you have one, then you can have it in other friends. You
Yes.
can have it in a romantic relationship. You can have that same feeling and translate it to, I don't know, the way that you try and look for a house or whatever. Like it's all comes back to like the feelings that it gives you. Um, and I think we're someone who, yeah, we're people. I love what you put on your Instagram story the other day about like, what is it not like to be
Oh
deep?
my
Or so you were
God,
saying about
dude.
like, explain to me what it's like to not be deep.
I'll just say this story quickly to explain. I'm dating someone and I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to be light and have fun." And then my therapist was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Not one thing you ever done is deep." She's like, "You guys were together and you were talking about God and you prayed over your you know what I mean?" She's like, and
Mm,
so even inspiration for your audience, like HD is such a powerful tool for them to understand themselves. And this is why, I mean, I always recommend whenever I'm on podcasts, like the biggest thing you can do is know yourself, and human design helps you do that. And by knowing yourself,
mm,
then you can operate in the world better. And for me, I had forgotten I'm a deep, deep person. Nothing I do is
mm,
casual. So if you forget that and you're operating in the world of casual, you're going to get hurt. It's going to be painful. So when we can
Yeah.
know the texture of our soul and who we are through human design, through things
Mm.
like that, it's like then we can just move in the world so much better and you can just have such a better life experience.
I know. But that's the thing is like we have to advertise ourselves correctly, and
Yeah.
that's also why we can't ever do it in isolation. We have to do it in relation, right, to other people who can give us the reflections, and so we have to not be scared of like being in that soup and sometimes getting
Yeah.
it wrong with people and sometimes getting it
Mhm.
right, and then you find some real
Yeah. My
gems
therapist goes,
like
she goes,
yourself.
"Oh, you did it again." And she started laughing. I was like, "Oh, rats." I was like, "Fuck." I was like, I did it again. Oh, man.
Oh. I love that's the whole I mean, that's what it is, isn't it? It's like you think you're, like,
Uh-huh.
done with something, and then it comes back in, like,
A
a whole
different
other way, and you're
package.
like,
Yep.
"Oh,
I'm like, "Oh, this is the taller,
yeah.
hotter
We're over
package."
this."
I thought we were done, but we're just here we are again.
Yeah. Well, thank you
I
so
love
much. I
you
love you so
so
much,
much.
Krista. This is just like I mean,
I know.
life-giving.
My
I just
dream.
adore
I
you.
miss you. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. I love you so much. Bye.
Bye.